What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about a very bad habit that I developed with my anxiety disorder, and it's basically excessively or obsessively checking your heart rate. I did this for years. I'm going to share with you what I did and why this was detrimental to my recovery. It held me back, and I want you guys to know how serious it is that you stop doing this, okay? But you know what time it is. Smash the like button down below if you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt, because that's what we do here. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you struggle with constantly checking your heart rate. Now, this doesn't have to just be for people that have health anxiety. However, I think people that are hypochondriacs like I was, this is a very common freaking habit amongst many other things, checking your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your oxygen levels, self-examination. I can go on, but today we're gonna focus in on checking your heart rate. So I had health anxiety, which is very broad, but I had a specific category in my health anxiety or of health anxiety. I'm not sure if it's officially a category, but it was cardiophobia. This all kicked off whenever I had my first panic attack. I jumped on Google, I typed in all the crazy symptoms that I was dealing with. One of them was obviously fast heart rate. I could tell that my blood pressure was elevated. I was sweating, I had chest pain, I had numbness and tingling primarily on my left side, right? And if you do ever exhibit these symptoms and you haven't been cleared by a doctor, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Get checked. This video isn't for somebody that's never been checked out by a doctor, okay? This is for those of you that have been told that you're fine, probably multiple times, and you're still dealing with issues accepting anxiety as the reason that you're having these symptoms. So if you haven't gone, do the smart thing, go get checked out and then come back here. Okay, so the first time this all happened to me, freaked me out. I was in a negative state of mind. Obviously, if I'm having a panic attack, right, that means my anxiety and negativity has gotten so bad that now I'm having it manifested into physical symptoms or sensations, right? So it's obviously gotten to that point. So of course, whenever I jump on Google and I see my symptoms and then I see heart attack, I'm gonna assume that that's what's going on. Even though I was 20 years old, I didn't have a ton of high risk factors or anything like that, I was in fight or flight. So I'm in a life and death situation. I'm not gonna be able to be rational. So I believed with everything that I had in me that day that I was having a heart attack, and I believed that I traumatized my subconscious. That fear went right up the list and as far as priorities of my subconscious. And I was stuck in that cycle for about 2.5 years just with the cardiophobia before I moved on to other diseases that I feared. But by far the cardiophobia episode was the worst. And yes, I had tons of testing and doctor visits, ER visits. I spent the night in ER parking lots. I was just constantly afraid that something was wrong with my heart, whether it be having multiple heart attacks a day, which were actually panic attacks, or just having an arrhythmia issue or something, heart failure. These are the things that I feared. So those are the symptoms that I dealt with all the time. Now, as far as my heart rate goes, my numbers, I know a lot of people want to know. This is one of the questions that I get from my coaching clients. Well, how fast was your heart rate? So for me, we're talking anywhere from 95 to 125 beats per minute. Now, here's the kicker: at rest, like me just sitting on the couch, probably me 20 minutes after waking up. Sure, it would get lower than that whenever I would sleep, if I was lucky enough to get to sleep. But whenever I was awake and conscious, it didn't take very long after waking up for my heart rate to jump up into the 90s. And this was even whenever I had stopped smoking and had changed my diet. Helped very little as far as the actual heart rate. This was just because my subconscious was constantly in fear and on the verge of fight or flight. Now, whenever I would go into fight or flight, guys, we're talking about my heart rate jumping in. We're talking about panic attacks, anxiety attacks, or just being really anxious. We're talking about anywhere from 130, 140 all the way up to 180 plus. And it possibly got higher than that. I just didn't have anything to measure it. And that's another thing. Luckily, they didn't have any smart watches or anything like that to really check your heart rate. That was wildly available like it is now. Otherwise, I would have used that. But what I would do in the beginning especially was, this was my go-to. I would check right here for my pulse. I got very good at timing it and figuring out what it was. I could feel my chest and feel it. That's how strong my heart would palpitate. I would use my wrist, obviously. And I even got to a point where I was so sensitive that I could tell you what my heart rate was just sitting still. That's how much I felt in my body. And I know a lot of you deal with health anxiety, anxiety in general. You're hyper aware, hypersensitive to everything going on in your body. So you feel your heart beating so much more than the average person that doesn't deal with an anxiety disorder, or how you were before developing the anxiety disorder, you know? So heart rate was a really big deal for me. And those are my numbers over a period of years. And as you can see, I'm here, I'm healthy, I didn't die, I don't have a heart problem. I know I get that question a lot, like, doesn't it wear your heart out after a couple? It didn't for me, okay? So that was something that I feared all the time. But here's my next point of this video. If you have anxiety, if you have health anxiety especially, and you're trying to move on and accept what the doctor has told you, and you're trying to develop that internal voice to let yourself know that you are healthy, you have to stop sending the mixed signals to your subconscious. See, if you want your subconscious to believe that things are good and that you don't have a heart problem and that you need to accept anxiety, right, and move on from this, then you have to not just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. So if you're trying to accept anxiety and then multiple times throughout the day you're checking your pulse like I was, your subconscious is not going to just believe you when you say, I accept anxiety. This is where a lot of you are messing up. And again, it's not just with the heart rate, it's the blood pressure, the self-examination, the Googling, checking your blood sugar, checking your oxygen levels. I go on and on and on. Why are you sending these mixed signals to your subconscious if you're trying to get your subconscious to believe you when you say, I accept anxiety as the reason for dealing with the fast heart rate? See? You need to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. You have to put it into action. Make your subconscious believe you, and then the symptoms and the messages that your subconscious is trying to deliver to you, which that's what the symptoms are, they will start to diminish over time. Because why? Your subconscious is starting to trust you. But I think a lot of people in the beginning, they have a struggle with that, you know? Why am I still dealing with symptoms when I accept? You know, why is my heart rate still fast, you know? Because your subconscious doesn't necessarily believe what you're doing on a conscious level yet, and that takes time, okay? That process takes time. How long is that for you? I couldn't tell you specifically, okay? You know, I started seeing some pretty good results whenever I was consistent, you know, anywhere from like 3 to 5 weeks. Then it would snowball after that. But some of you are not putting together any consistency. More than a few days, even a week or two is not good enough, guys. So how do you stop doing this? You make a decision to not do this, to not do this. You know what I mean? Like, you make it a goal when you wake up in the morning not to do that. Here's another thing. If you have Apple Watches, apps on your iPhone, or any way to just check your heart rate, I know the little pulse thing that you can put on your finger, give it away, resell it, do something. And some of you are going to refuse to take my advice right now, but imagine if you were addicted to something and you had that in your house somewhere. It doesn't matter if you hide it and you know where it is, or if you put it in a drawer. Whenever you're in that moment and you feel like you need to find out what's going on, or you're scared or in fear, right, or you're craving it, you're going to go get it because you know where it is. Okay, something magical starts to happen when you block off all this external reassurance and you block off having something to give you some instant relief or comfort, right? Whenever you're looking for some quick reassurance, you have to actually tell yourself that you're healthy and that you're okay. But you're never going to do that if you have like the Apple Watch, or if you have the apps, or if you have the pulse monitor, or whatever there is out there. There's so many things. Get rid of that, guys. Okay. Then you run into a new problem, like you can still check with your fingers, or check, you know, you check your wrist or your pulse up here under your jawline. Right there, like, you just have to make a choice not to do it. You may mess up, you're like, oh man, what am I doing? What am I doing? Because the thing is you have to be able to tell yourself you're fine when you have the urge to check your heart rate, if you want to be able to truly accept anxiety and get your subconscious to believe you. So I know this was kind of drawn out, but I just kind of wanted to make a video specifically for checking your heart rate. Guys, I checked my heart rate in the car nonstop. I would just be driving like this. Whenever I was in public and everything like that, I would even check it. I had a few people catch me like, what are you doing? You know, and I'd be like, oh, nothing, you know, and sometimes I'd be really good. I'd play it off like I'm just kind of having, like, you know, I'm using my hand for like a chin rest or something. But I was constantly checking my heart rate, and I know a lot of times whenever I'd start checking it, what did it do? It got higher and higher and higher and higher. And also I had white coat syndrome. So we're talking about heart rate and blood pressure. You know, you have this fear of your vitals and stuff being much, much higher when you get to the hospital or the doctor, right? Or, you know, whatever, ER. And then therefore the numbers are higher out of fear of getting the high numbers. It's kind of some anticipatory anxiety mixed in. So my numbers would skyrocket upon getting out of the car, going into a doctor's office that I know they're going to take my vitals. So I would deal with that as well. But Something very, very important if you're trying to get over health anxiety or anxiety in general, you got to start being able to tell yourself that you're fine, that you're healthy, and then start working on accepting the reassurance that you've gotten from the doctors. It's easier said than done. It took me years to do it, but it's possible. If I would have stopped checking my vitals a long time ago, the process would have been quicker. So if you want to get some quicker results, stop relying on these devices or your fingers to check your pulse, okay? Move on, because all you're doing is you're confusing your subconscious and you're setting yourself back. So hopefully this advice helps some of you guys. Again, it was kind of drawn out a little bit. I'm trying to make my videos a little bit shorter to help out with watch time and stuff. But for those of you that stuck around to this point, I want you in the comment section to put in all caps, I will develop internal reassurance, because we're trying to get away from the external reassurance. I will develop internal reassurance. That's that internal voice that you use that tells you that you're healthy, okay? You got to be able to tell yourself that you're healthy and start believing it, okay? So if you got value out of this video, guys, please hit the like button down below. And again, leave me that comment, that statement that I mentioned, or if you want to talk about anything else or just talk about your experience with checking your heart rate, anything that's helped you, include that. If you want that extra push, if you want extra help with your anxiety, I do offer a course and a coaching program. That information is always going to be down below in the description and in the first pinned comment. My other forms of social media are there. If you're new here, guys, subscribe, hit the bell so you get updates when I put these videos out. And until next time, keep fighting. Thanks.